Hello. Sorry I've not done a video for a few weeks, but my mental health has just been shite. um, and I thought it's Autism Awareness Week. Today is Friday, but when I post this it'll be Tuesday or the day before. I don't know. And I feel alright today, so I thought I'd best get it in quick because I don't know what's around the corner. So, yeah, I suppose the inspiration for this video is basically how shit, how non-existent the mental health services are for people with autism in the UK anyway. I can't speak for other places, but and I think a lot of this is obviously down to funding and everything, but a lack of awareness. So basically, obviously I'm from Sheffield, so when I got diagnosed when I was 22, I got diagnosed at the Sheffield Adult Autism and Neurodevelopmental Service. It took me a while to say that without stuttering, so and I got diagnosed by Professor Digby Tantum, and I think he's retired now, and I had counselling from Dr. Richard Smith, who was absolutely fantastic. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll have probably heard me mention him before, or basically just sing his praises, because he is absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, in different parts of the country, that kind of service is not there. So I'll start by telling you the story of my struggles with getting help recently. So I moved down to Staffordshire in February last year, and obviously because of all the changes and everything, it was a completely different place. I'd left my friends, I'd left my family, I'd left my job. The place where I was living, everything had changed, and I'd moved to this place and I didn't know anybody except for my boyfriend's mates. I had to look for a new job again, got a new job, and my job, although I do love it and I love the residents that I work with, it is very challenging, and it was a lot to take in. So I was kind of getting into this kind of depressive thing. You know how it goes. If you're autistic watching this, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. You just fall flat on your face basically, and you need somebody to unravel all the wires in your brain that's causing you to feel anxious and confused and overwhelmed and drained and stressed and and lost and all that. So I went to my GP in June, July, August time, I can't really remember, in summer anyway, last year, and I said to him, I've been getting bad thoughts and stuff, I've started hurting myself again. My meltdowns are getting worse and I'm not coping with things the way that I should, and I had to have some time off work. Like, they were happy to sign me off, and I don't get paid sick pay at work, so obviously I lost out on a lot of money. And I think I was off for about 3 or 4 weeks. In fact, no, it were 3 weeks. And then I went back to work, and obviously I was still struggling, but the way I've been brought up is you just get on with it, and that is what I'm like until I can't get on with it any longer. And I was at that stage where I just could not get on with it. I needed a counsellor that understood autism or had, a semi-understanding of autism. So that's what I asked for. So I went to my GP and explained all this to them, and it didn't even seem like they knew what autism was, for starters. They were just mentioning ADHD and stuff, and I've got ADD as well, but they were confusing autism with ADHD, and I was like, do you actually even know what it is? I had to explain it to them pretty much. And then they were like, yeah, there's services, there's people that can help and stuff. put me on antidepressants, and I just took them because they send me to sleep. So, you know, the night before work, when I know that I've got to be up early, I struggle to get to sleep, so I just took them to knock me out before I went to bed, basically. I didn't take them for depression because I know historically antidepressants don't work for me, because there's a lot of other things going on inside that are causing it. You know, it's not actual depression. It's caused by my autism symptoms. So I didn't hear anything for a bit, and then I went back and I said, you know, have we got any news? Have we found anywhere? Yes, we've found somewhere in Dudley. So I'll refer you to them. Didn't hear anything about that for a while. Went back to them, obviously saying, you know, has anything happened yet? And they said, no, we faxed it to them. I can't remember when it was exactly, but it was a few months on. And, you know, we're waiting for them to get back to us, basically. So I was like, fair enough, you know, they've probably got a lot of, you know, a backlog. Usually that's the case, you know, can deal with that as long as something's happening and it's underway, blah, 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 blah. And then I found out that they'd faxed it to a fax machine, and this place in Dudley don't even have a fax machine. So I was like, hang on a minute, you're doing these referrals for people and you're sending it to a fax machine that doesn't exist. So I had to then find out the email address to send the referral to, and then ring them back and fart about and all the rest of it. And I was just like, bloody hell, this is not helping things, you know. And I was getting told different things by different people and passed off onto different, and it was just, and this was like the end of summer, you know. So then and then they said, this place, you're not eligible to go to this place. And I said, I've got a diagnosis for Asperger's syndrome, autism spectrum disorder, whatever you want to call it, and ADD. Of course I'm eligible for it, you know. And they said, no, we can't, we've cancelled the referral or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I couldn't get a good enough reason out of them, do you know what I mean? So I went back to my GP and they referred me to this place called Park House and said they will do an assessment and then refer you to the service that's available. You know, basically to assess what exactly I need for them to pass that on and find somebody suitable. So I was like, okay then, you know, if that's what I have to do, fine. So I went to the assessment centre in November, bearing in mind I'd gone to the GP in summer and we still hadn't got anywhere. We're still going back and forth and all this, phone calls and chasing things up and that, while I'm on my arse, you know, trying to get through the day most of the time. And at the same time, obviously I had the stressful job. Well, I've still got the same job now. And me and my partner were buying a house. And to be fair, my partner kind of took the reins because he likes to, you know, kind of control things like that. He's not a controlling person, but he likes to do things for people and make sure that, you know, everything's right. And he's a lot better at doing stuff like that than me. So I was like, fair enough, you know, if you need any help, ask me, but okay, you know, go for it. But it was still very stressful. You know, there was still a lot of uncertainty going on, and I was still struggling to cope with the changes and still having these horrible worsening meltdowns that were lasting longer and longer and longer and all this business. So I went to this assessment centre called Park House. I was sat in there for about 2 hours telling another person my life story, and then she turns around to me and she says, oh, we don't do assessments, referrals here. I was like, you what? My GP has referred me to somebody that has now magically vanished into thin air. And then they've sent me to you and told me that you're going to do the referral, and now you're telling me you don't do referrals. I was like, what do I do, you know? And she's like, oh yeah, but in the meantime, you know, if you're having suicidal thoughts and stuff, call the crisis team. I was like, I'm not calling the fucking crisis. I don't need the crisis team. I need a counsellor, just somebody to talk to, you know, that's going to run through all my thoughts and help me compartmentalise things and cope with things better and kind of just work through things. Do you know what I mean? I don't need a last resort where you have to wait about 5 hours in A&E just to be told everything's going to be all right. You know, people have got it worse, basically, because that's what I've had in Sheffield a few times, and I'm telling you now, it doesn't work. It makes things a lot worse. So, anyway, get a bit wound up when I'm talking about this for obvious reasons. So I went back to my GP, I think the week after, and I explained to them what had been said, and they said, well, we can't do anything about it because we need to receive a letter from Park House, basically telling us your assessment results, that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I'll come back in a week. So I came back in a week, and then they said, we can't find anything, but we've referred you to a place called Staffordshire Cares. And I was okay. Hopefully Staffordshire will care. But later I started calling them Staffordshire doesn't care because they do not give a shit. So I was toing and froing with Staffordshire Cares and my GP, trying to find out what was going on because everybody was on a different page, you know, everybody had different information, and I was basically the middleman trying to hold it together and, you know, that kind of thing. And then eventually I had an assessment. This is in February of this year. So bearing in mind we've pissed about for that amount of time and got nowhere, it took until February this year, 2019, and they did another 2.5 hour assessment on the phone. And she says, oh, well, I don't know if you are eligible for services. I was like, I have got a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome and ADD. Of course I am eligible for it. Why aren't I eligible for it? She says, well, I'll send the referral anyway, but I can't promise anything. And I said to her, well, what's the name of the place that you're sending the referral to? And she couldn't give me the name of the referral of the place that she was referring it to. So I was like, you know, there's something, you just fobbing me off, basically. But I said, okay then, you know, send the referral, we'll see what they say. And then it got until March, well, this month, and I got back in contact with Staffordshire Cares, obviously what's happening with this referral. We're still waiting for it to come back. I was like, okay, can you give me the name of the place? No, sorry, we're not able to divulge that information. I was like, why not? The GP divulged the information of this place in Dudley that they were going to send it to, that magically vanished. And she was like, well, it's policy, or I can't remember what she said. I just switched off at that point. I'm like, do you know what? It's painful, you know. And then I was toing and froing with this Staffordshire Cares, obviously chasing it up and blah-de-blah-de-blah. Spoke to a few people, and it's the same kind of people, you know, them kind of people that just talk over you and, you know, tell you what you should think and stuff like this, and it's just like, you don't have a fucking clue what it's like to live with this condition. I had to explain my condition to you, and you work for a company that is supposed to understand all this stuff and then send referrals out and help people. Do you know what I mean? And then I get a letter, I don't know if it was 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was on a Wednesday anyway, because I remember it vividly. And I get this letter from the GP saying, I'm sorry, but there are no services in your area. And I read it and I was just like, are you actually being serious? Like, I've told all these people how I'm feeling and everything, what I'm doing to myself, i.e. doing things that are dangerous to myself, because I can't control what happens when I'm having meltdowns now. You know, before thanks to Dr. Richard Smith at SARS, being able to just, you know, have a minute, or have a second, should I say, and just think, well, you know, I could see red and, you know, smash things up and hurt myself and, you know, think about killing myself and stuff like that. Or I could just take deep breaths and just remind myself that it's not the end of the world. I'm not stupid, I'm not a failure, you know, I'm not thick, I don't get everything wrong, it's just a mistake, or something's changed, or, you know, something's gone off, but it'll be fine. Now, I don't do that. I just go straight into seeing red because of this, what I would call clinical negligence. Do you know what I mean? Because if somebody with a broken leg walked into A&E and said, I've got a broken leg, like, they wouldn't say to somebody, well, just fucking hop then. Use the other one. Off you pop. They wouldn't, would they? They'd sort it out straight away. So if somebody comes in with a broken brain, I'm not saying that autism is a broken brain, but, you know, because of the symptoms that I have, and again, you'll probably understand this yourself if you have autism, sometimes things are very difficult to cope with, and there's that much stuff going on, and you're that overwhelmed, and you're not getting the support you need, that you're barely functioning, and you need help. So what's the difference? You know, and your brain controls everything. You know, if your brain's not working, then you can't work properly, you can't look after yourself, you can't look after your house, you can't look after your family, you can't look after your kids. You need to, you know, make sure that's working properly, or semi-properly, so that you can, live your life. You know, and I just felt like I'd been punched in the face by everybody that I'd spoke to in those few months. I just felt, and basically that's the reason why I've been quiet, because it really has knocked me on my arse. Because before I thought, well, you know, something will happen soon, hopefully, maybe. You know, they'll refer me to a place, and you know, things will start looking up and all that. And then you get that letter through, and it's just like the light at the end of the tunnel is taken away. It's just pitch black, like, fucking hell, what am I going to do? You know, a horrible, horrible feeling. So yeah, and now, thankfully, and I feel very lucky and very grateful, because I know that not a lot of people are in this position, but my partner has offered to pay for private counselling for me, and he's found me a really nice counsellor. I had my first session 2 days ago, and that hope has been restored. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time. There's a lot of things that I need to work on, but there is that hope there, you know, that something can be done about it. And he said to me, you know, I've got no doubts that about the sessions, you know, basically saying that he will help me get through it, and, you know, I'll be able to cope more and stuff. So that's good, but not everybody has that, and that's another reason why I'm doing this video, because I know that I'm not the only one. And, you know, I mean, not just with autism, just like mental health, mental illness in general. Not that autism's mental illness, I didn't mean to say that. You know what I mean, though? Like, people have different conditions, and nobody should be just neglected and said, well, you know, if you're going to do it, fuck off, do it, we don't care, you know, because that's what it's like. You know, especially when you get told that there are services and that things are happening and you're being referred to places and stuff, and then when you dig deeper, there isn't anything. It's just like, what do I do then? You know? So there needs to be that awareness of, I mean, I don't even know how many autistic people there are in the UK, but the number is growing because more and more people are, you know, realising that they're autistic and seeking out diagnosis and stuff like that. But it's no good diagnosing somebody and then just leaving them to it. You know, like, oh yeah, there you go, there's your diagnosis, that's it, Google it. It's not good enough, is it? So I would really like anybody else that's had a similar experience, or anybody else that is struggling to find services for them and support for them that they need, to get in contact with me, and hopefully we can all come together and sort something out. I mean, I've already contacted my local MP. I've already contacted the commissioning groups for the NHS, is it? Because I contacted the NHS England, obviously put a complaint in. They did fuck all about it. But they basically said it's not our fault, it's the commissioning groups. Sorry, I should have researched all this properly and refreshed my memory before I did the video, but it's not really my style. But yeah, I've basically taken every avenue to kind of try and do something about it, but I don't feel like any of these people will listen if it's just one person. But power in numbers, do you know what I mean? So yeah, if you've had a similar experience, please let me know. But it is really important. It's all right doing YouTube videos and stuff like that, and you know, I know that there's a good community on YouTube and everybody talks to each other and everybody shares how they're feeling because it's kind of a safe space where everybody gets it, and that's great. But I think sometimes people do need that help and support that should be there for them if they need it. You know, it's quite a simple thing, you know. So, yeah, bit of a rant, but that's my experience of the autism services or lack of down here, and I don't think it's good enough. So let's do something about it, you know, show them that we're here, show them that we matter, and show them that we're not going to let them take the piss. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.